Are you looking for a GMRS radio that's rugged and won't break the bank? The GM-30 from Radioddity is definitely worth a look. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of cool electronic gadgets, including action cameras, audio and video accessories, and radio-related products like this Radioddity GM-30 GMRS radio. If you find this video helpful, please be sure to click the thumbs up icon below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. We've added quite a few new subscribers this past year, and I want to thank all of you who've clicked the subscribe button. As we get started, I want to thank Radioddity for providing the radio for this review. We'll be taking an honest look at this little GMRS radio that sells right at $40 US. Before we jump into a tour of what comes when you order the GM-30 and let you listen to some audio, here are a few observations for those of you who like to get right to the point. First off, this is a nice little inexpensive GMRS radio. At $40 each, they're about the same as blister pack GMRS radios such as those from Midland and Motorola, with more features. Next, it's a dual band radio, so you can program both VHF and UHF channels in the 220 available memory channels. Now, these are receive-only channels, but with the radio's dual watch functionality, you can scan and monitor channels besides the GMRS channel you have selected. Its receiver will also receive commercial FM and NOAA weather broadcasts. This means that you have a lot of communications options in a single transceiver. Next, its rechargeable battery uses a USB Type-C connection for charging, not a cradle or other higher voltage cable. This means that you can charge it from your vehicle or a power block without having to worry about whether you have the right cable with you. The battery includes a small LED on the bottom to indicate charging status. It's best not to run the radio while charging the battery. And last, for this brief summary, it has customer programming software that allows for much easier data entry for additional channels and setting radio's options. While these tasks are available from the faceplate, the CPS makes housekeeping tasks much easier. Okay, let's take a look at what comes with the radio and explore the radio's controls. So let's take a quick look at what comes inside the box from this Radioddity GM-30. Okay, so the first thing let's take a quick look at is the GM-30 user manual. It's pretty good. It's got a good index, table of contents, gives you all the information that you need. Chapter 7 kind of goes through all of the menus, which is pretty important because there are like 40 menu items on the radio. So it's a pretty comprehensive set of controls, and they're all explained to you here. And you can get up to menu item number 40, which is the reset menu. And so they're all pretty easy to understand. The English in it is good, and should be able to explain what it is that you're going to be doing with the radio if you choose to control it from the faceplate. The next thing we'll take a look at is the charging system. Now, this little wall wart here is a 5-volt output wall wart. So it's basically no different than the one that may have come with your smartphone. And it uses a USB, so it's got a USB-A on this side and a USB-C on this side. So this makes it pretty handy for charging. And that's one of the things that you're finding on some of these newer radios, where they are using USB-C, so you don't need special cradles, wall warts, and what have you to charge the lithium-ion batteries in the radios. There are a couple of little attachment devices here. Here's a wrist strap that goes on the back of the radio. I'll show you that here in a minute. And then the belt clip also then for the back of the radio. Now, one of the things about this is that the belt clip screws into the back and it screws into the battery. So some people like that, some people don't, but there you have it, the belt clip and the wrist strap. Now, the last thing we're going to look at beside the radio itself is this little attachment. It's got the K1 style, Kenwood style attachment to go into the side of the radio, and it has the microphone and push to talk button here, and then a couple of earphones, so you can be a little more discreet, or if you like to wear it on your belt and not hold it up to your face when you're transmitting, this little single earpiece will help you with that. So it's a pretty standard accessory with a lot of these radios. Now, of course, the radio itself is what you're really interested in, so let's take a quick look at that. Here on the front, the branding, the Radioddity brand, the main display screen, you can see that unlike some GMRS radios, this one has a full faceplate. It's because it's a dual band radio, which means that it's got over 200 channels that you can program into the radio's memories for receive only or scannability type channels. And so you can do that from the faceplate, although as we'll look at in a minute, it's going to be a lot easier to do with a customer programming software. And so you can access the menu, make changes, access NOAA radios, turn on and off the scan, and then use the numbers to access the menu items, as well as scrolling up and down using those two buttons in the middle. On this side of the radio, we've got a monitor button or a squelch brake button, and so by holding the squelch brake button down, it'll break the squelch and give you a noisy hissing sound, but it'll also receive anything that is coming in on that channel. That's kind of handy. And then this button up here will, with a short press, move it into the FM receive mode. And then you can use the up and down buttons to make changes to the FM channels so you can listen to commercial FM. Now, it uses the international range, so it starts way down at 67 megahertz, and US FM stations start at 88. So you'll have to scroll up a little bit to get to the US band. But it's designed to be sold more than just here in the United States. You can also do a long press on this button and get a whistle or a siren kind of a response. On the back is the battery. It comes off with a press down here at this little battery release. And here you can see the USB-C connection, and that little circle right there is an LED that'll give you the charge status of the battery. This means that you can charge the battery when it's on the radio or not, so it makes it pretty handy. Here are the screws for the belt clip, and here's the loop for the wrist strap if you choose to use that. On this side, we've got the cover for the accessory port, and we're going to use this to plug in the programming cable should you want to use the provided downloadable CPS programming software. And then on the top, we've got a little LED for a flashlight, the antenna, which is removable, but it's got a little set screw here that you'll use to remove it, and then the on-off switch. So let's turn the radio on and take a quick look at some of the menu items and how to maneuver within the menu. Okay, we've got the radio turned on now, and it's in the channel mode. It says channel 1 for line number 2 and channel 1 for line number 2. To switch that, we're going to use this little red sideways facing U. And you can see the arrow move from the lower to the upper. So you can control those separately. So if I'm down here, I can use my channels and change the GMRS channels on the second channel, and if I've got dual watch turned on, if either of those broadcasts, the little arrow will flash, indicating which of the two channels is receiving a signal. A long press on this little green button will change it into the frequency mode. And this allows you to enter frequencies and assign them to those receive-only channels that are available in the radio's memory. Again, the CPS is going to be a much easier way to do that, but that's how you access it. Here is the menu system, so a quick click on the menu is going to give you the various menus, and you can just scroll up through them: squelch, step, power saving, all these various menus, those 40 menus that I pointed out to you, or you can access them directly with the keypad. And so, for example, if you wanted to make a change to the CTCSS you were using on that particular channel, you're on channel 1, you go into menu, go 10, and now you're on the receive CTCSS, and then you can go up to the transmit CTCSS. To use that, you just simply press up to access it, and then you can scroll yourself through the various available CTCSS codes. When you get the one that is the one you're going to use for your group, you quick press the menu. It'll tell you that you've confirmed that, and then you can exit the menu again using that little red sideways U. So all those menus really work about the same, and moving in and out of CTCSS or DCS codes is probably the primary thing that you're going to use when you're using here in this menu. Now we can also access the weather. A long press, there's a little cloud right there. We can access the weather, and we can listen to that. And then this short press over here, we can listen to the FM. So quick press. Won't stay on that. Don't want any copyright hits here. And then if we wanted to monitor the weather, a long press on the cloud will scan.
Southwest in south central Arizona. Synopsis about
And here's our weather. Where I'm living, it's on channel 1. And a long press on that will take it back to the channel mode. So that's just a quick overview of the various menu items. There are a bunch of them in here that if you need them, you'll understand them. And if you're new to GMRS, you'll probably want to study them. But with 40 menu items, it gives you a lot of flexibility. And with 220 channels available to you besides the 30 that come programmed, this gives you a lot of flexibility. So you've got the GMRS, you can monitor VHF and UHF, you can monitor commercial FM, and you can get the NOAA station. So it's a pretty compact but very function-filled communications device. I've recorded a couple of range checks with the GM-30, so let's take a listen. I recorded my end of the conversation using a Tascam DR5 digital recorder, and I didn't do anything to the recording, so you'll hear some background noise. As I was doing these in a suburban setting, there are houses and power lines in the area, but not tall buildings or mountains. This is the GM-30. Same way here at a mile?
Yeah, maybe a little lower on the audio.
Well, you're coming through here with that same power as you had before, so on the receive end, these are pretty similar. So that's good. I'm going to move up half a mile, and I'll give you a call in a moment.
Okay.
Okay, this is the GM-30 for a range check at 1.5 miles. How copy?
Copy's good. A little more fading than the last transmission. Certainly usable by, you could probably get another half mile.
Okay, Roger, copy. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Let me go out another half mile. Okay, we're at 2 miles here with the GM-30 radio.
A little less signal strength. Try it again here. Let me look at the meter.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Range check at 2 miles on the GM-30. Go ahead.
It's still, it's showing full signal, but it's a little scratchier. Still cute copy. I give you a 599.
At 2 miles, the transmissions were clearly readable. Range checks with these type radios are very dependent on location, so take these as a demonstration rather than some kind of guarantee. I mentioned the CPS or customer programming software earlier. Let's take a look at how that works. So I've got the radio connected to the computer via the programming cable. I've got an FTDI programming cable that works with several of my handhelds. The first thing I'm going to do is check to make sure that I can get it working and that the computer knows what COM port to use. So we're going to go up here to Program, go to Communications Port, and it offers a number of communications ports that could be available. So here you can see that it's reading. These radios are often a little touchy. It may be that you'll need to turn the radio off and on with it's connected first, the software starting first. I just never know for sure which of these is going to be the one that allows it to communicate. But as you can see, it is in fact communicating right now. And so we've got the radio information here, we've got scan range. Those are things that we can make changes to. That's this choice up here. And then we can go into our general settings and we can make some changes. Some we can change, some we can't. So for example, we can use the preset logo and it says welcome in Radioddity, or we can have it set to show the voltage so you know whether you need to charge it first thing when you turn it on. Then we can also go in, we set our timeouts, squelch levels. These are all available in the menus, but sometimes they're just easier to set here in the programming software itself. So when we go into channel mode, we can see what our channels are here, and these are the GMRS channels. We just scroll through them, and notice that you cannot change the bandwidth in these restricted GMRS channels, nor can you change the power. Those things are grayed out. This radio also doesn't allow you to change power for any of the GMRS channels. So if it's authorized high power, you're going to get high power. High power in these lower numbers is 5 watts. High power in these upper numbers is 50. Although obviously this little handheld isn't going to broadcast 50 watts of power. And so you can see here that we have some of the things set. I made a change and put a CCTSS code via the faceplate into this radio when I was doing my range checks. So you can see that it's there. It just read from the radio. I can get rid of that here, or of course I can get rid of it on the radio's faceplate, but just to show you how it works, I'm going to drop that off. So now I don't have any CCTS or DCS codes programmed into the radio. As we move over here, we can see that we've got the scan add column, which means that the channels with yes can be scanned. And then if you wanted to add a channel, we can do that here. So if we wanted to add a channel in the VHF range, you know, we could add 146,000. Transmit is going to come up empty because we're not allowed to transmit. It doesn't have CCTSS codes. We can make changes to the power, high and low, in a receive. But again, these various things are set. They fill in automatically. And then if we wanted to scan it, we could hit yes. If we didn't want to scan it, we could hit no. So you can see that the CTCSS can be changed the same way. If, for example, you were programming in a ham radio repeater, you could, you know, and it had a code, you could scan it in. Or if you were programming in a GMRS repeater and you wanted to know if there's anything happening on that repeater, you could program the GMRS channel here. You're not going to transmit. You can give it a name. you can scan it, and so you could know then if you are in an area with several repeaters, whether ham radio or GMRS, you could program those into your available channels, which you can see go all the way up to 250. And then you could add them to your scan list should you choose. So that's a quick look at the CPS. Now that I've got that done, I made that change, I want to write that back to the radio. So I'm going to hit Write to Radio. Hit OK. It's talking to the radio, writing that information back. The radio display says Program. And my data write was successful. At this point, I'm going to cancel, go up to File, Save As. I'm going to put this in a place in my computer that I'm assigning my GM-30 and give it a name. So if I mess something up at some point, I can do that. I'm going to do that for each of the major changes I make, just to make recovery a little bit easier. All in all, the Radioddity GM-30 is a good value for the price, with lots of features not found on some other GMRS radios in this price range. It feels good in your hand and seems sturdy enough to deal with some wear and tear while you're out and about. The radio is rated at up to 5 watts of output power. I measured just over 3 watts on my power meter. That's in line with several other similar radios I've measured. It runs a little hot on the low GMRS power setting. It's easy to set CTCSS or DCS codes on the GM-30's faceplate if you are in an area with lots of GMRS action and you want some privacy for your group. You can also easily access other menu items. The CPS allows you to easily program radio system variables and the 220 memory channels. The dual band receiver makes this a great choice for serious GMRS preppers and your bug out bag. When you add in FM broadcast bands and the NOAA weather channels, the GM-30 is a nice all-round communications tool. If you're still thinking about why you might want to get a GMRS license and use what the FCC calls the Part 95 radio service, I've got a GMRS overview video on the channel. I'll link to it on this video's end card to help you decide whether this technology meets your communications needs. Again, if you found this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching.